Now, if you think that Keir Starmer is acting alone in dismantling Britain, then you would be mistaken. He is not the guy at the top, by the way. He's just a frontman. Any elected leader of a country is a frontman for something far more powerful, something far more in control, and something far more sinister. Surely a good leader would listen to their people, wouldn't they? And I think we've spoken up enough recently to show how dissatisfied we are and unhappy with his style of leadership, but he simply doesn't want to know. He is quite literally reading off a script. He can't speak off the cuff. It's like he's been given a job and told what to do. That's just my observation. And it's not just the people above him, it's the people below him as well. His cabinet, for example. Now, the Labour Party government, it's full of idiots. Remember the days when politicians were articulate, they were well educated, they were smart. It was really, really hard for journalists and TV presenters to catch them out. But these days, it's the exact opposite. They're like thick as mince goons who can't put a foot right. Take David Lammy, for example. Now, I haven't seen Diane Abbott for quite a while now, and I'm starting to think they're one and the same person, because they both are serious screw-ups. Now, David Lammy is, of course, the Foreign Secretary, and he was a massive goofball even before Labour became government. There's an almost endless list of this guy's cock-ups he's made, and some are quite amusing. You can look them up on the internet. But it's his latest faux pas that are quite serious, and even more so now that he is Foreign Secretary and he effectively represents us abroad. He is like Britain's top diplomat, if you can imagine that. So let's start with him calling Donald Trump a neo-Nazi. Now, being the Foreign Secretary, you're going to have to deal with foreign leaders, and if, God willing, Trump becomes US President in November, he's going to have to deal with him. But I don't think Trump will deal with Lammy for calling him a neo-Nazi. Would you? And if the leader of your biggest ally won't deal with your Foreign Secretary, that means Starmer's going to have to sack him. Or will sacking Lammy open up Starmer for accusations of racism? You see, this is where wokeness just bites you in the bum. But I think his biggest mistake is his treatment of Israel. Now, he recently reinstated the funding for the UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency in Gaza, and that's still, of course, run by Hamas, so guess where all that money's going? It won't be going on rebuilding schools, houses, or hospitals. That money is going to be used by Hamas to attack Israel. So while he effectively helped to fund Hamas terrorists by helping them buy more arms with that money, he has simultaneously authorised the UK to sell a limited amount of arms to Israel. I mean, it's a no-brainer, it's just crazy. This is clearly somebody who doesn't think, because he also recently popped over to Israel and expected to have an audience with Benjamin Netanyahu, despite calling for his arrest when there was an international arrest warrant issued for the Israeli leader. I mean, fancy going to see someone and try and deal with them and tell them you're friends weeks after calling for his arrest. Again, it's just bonkers. So he was ignored by Benjamin Netanyahu, and rightly so, which is also embarrassing for Starmer, by the way. I mean, does Starmer not have his finger on the pulse, not knowing what David Lammy has said, and still send him over as Foreign Secretary? My goodness. So anyway, while David Lammy was in Israel, he wore a badge that called for the support of the Israeli hostages, or what's left of them, in Gaza, who were of course kidnapped by Hamas terrorists. And then when he finished that meeting, went over to Palestine and spoke to their Prime Minister, he had the badge taken off. My goodness, what an incredibly stupid man. I mean, could you imagine David Lammy being given the post of Foreign Secretary under someone like Margaret Thatcher? I think she'd have called him into Downing Street, bounced him around the cabinet room, and then sacked him. She'd have probably marched him out the door herself. And this is the level of MPs we have now, especially in government, especially under Keir Starmer. Maybe Keir Starmer chose David Lammy because he knew of his level of intelligence. I mean, the man appeared on Celebrity Mastermind a few years ago and said that Henry VII reigned after Henry VIII. I don't have the words. I'd love to be a fly in Downing Street, I really would. Because surely Keir Starmer is choosing stupid people into positions of immense importance for a reason. Or am I overthinking things? Let me know in the comments. And there we go. I'm Paz49. Thanks for watching. And until the next time, Roger Trout.